Hi, in this video, I want to show you how to create an HP SmartStream Collage channel and how to apply it to your design. First of all, what is Collage? HP Collage is like the big brother of HP Mosaic, as it allows you a lot more ability to control your design. If HP Mosaic allows you to take a portion of a seed file and then apply parameters to it, Collage is doing the opposite. It actually allows you to take basic elements such as this apple over here and this apple seed, and apply parameters to it. For example, how many repeats do you want to use for each? What is their scattering? What is their scale? Do you allow them to flip or not, etc. Now, as you can see, from only these two elements, I have endless variety of these moisturizer. In this example, you can see the different seed file, the seed elements, and the different output bottles that were created from them. So again, it's very simple, very elegant, and very easy to implement. Again, as many elements as I have, I can also define the placement of these elements. For example, if I want elements to be on the beach, I will apply this channel over here. I can define their size, I can define the quantity, etc. But I can also define a channel for the sea. And I can allow these boats to flip, the direction to change. I can apply perspective and see the different variations. Let's see how it looks on Designer. If I go to Designer, I have this space design over here, and I'll create a frame. Again, this frame can be any shape that you want as long as it's closed. Once I create this shape, I go to the Data Fields palette, and I tell Designer, please create a collage channel for me. Now you can see the HP VDP showing that this has turned into a channel, and the channel is actually a frame where variable data flows into, and two things happen. First thing is Designer created a database for me called a counter, just a numerator to define the design, and also told me that it's using the demo collage template. And this demo collage template holds all the elements that Designer pre-installed and the parameters to each of these elements. If I click OK on this and preview, I can see the different predefined elements are shifting around this space. So our predefined elements are this alien, satellite, rockets, astronaut, and etc. And every time I'll generate a record, these elements will shift in space. Now let's go to this channel and see how these elements are defined. I go to the channels palette. I can double click on the channel to enter the modify image channel. I can see that it's using dynamic image HP Collage over here. Go to the settings. Like in Mosaic, this is a demo one, so it's a read-only file. I'll have to duplicate it. And I can edit it. In this UI, I can see the different elements, alien, astronaut, and I can see the parameters that are being placed to each of these elements. So these parameters are taking a portion of the seed, but I can also define parameters for the entire set, and we'll cover both of these. The UI is a little different than Mosaic because here I have the set preview where I can click on this and see all the changes in both parameters and see how they're looking on the frame itself. I have here the quantity. For example, let's say I want this alien just sometimes to be seen. So the minimum will be 0 and the maximum will be 1. And now, sometimes I'll see the alien, but sometimes I won't. I can define the scaling. The scaling is actually defined for the entire set. And I can see that the scaling here is the percentage of the frame, which means that if I'll change my channel size, it will also change the scaling. I can also select that the scaling will be according to the seed file, and then the percentage of the seed file will be taken from the seed dimensions. I'll keep it as percentage of the frame. Rotation, I can have it as no rotation at all. I can have free rotation, but I can also define a range, which means the degrees of this rotation. For example, here I have minus 30 degrees to 30 degrees, which is like a wiper on a windshield from side to side. I can also define flip. If you look at this alien, you'll see that it has a dark side and a light side. If I allow flip horizontal, sometimes I'll see this alien, but the dark side will be on his left side. I can also define shuffle spot colors, which we'll cover in a second. And again, I can change the parameters to each of these elements. I want this to have more stars, so I'll say between 10 and 15, and I'll have more stars. For the set, I can define the scattering. And the scattering is, do I allow these elements to overlap one another? Which means that sometimes elements will be one on top of the other, or I do not allow them to overlap at all, which in this example, they'll be as farther apart as they can be. This little dot over here is the most interesting one because it's a dynamic dot. If I'll go to the yellow stars and change this to, let's say, 6, you can see that this dot moved. And this dot is actually telling designer, or HP Collage, where the last point for these elements to have overlap. If I'll go beneath this point, I'll get a message saying some elements might overlap. They just might overlap. They can be as close as they can to one another, but they can overlap. If I'll go above this, they'll be as close as they can be, but never overlap. If I allow these elements to overlap, I can also select how to overlap. For example, if the seed layering here is random, sometimes this astronaut will be beneath the meteor over here, but I can also define that it will be by seed order, which means that the alien, which is the leftmost element, will be always on top, and the yellow star will be always on the bottom. I can also select to have by perspective order, which means that it's like how perspective works. If you're big, then you'll be on the top, and if you're small, you'll be in the foreground. I'll select this to be random again, and I'll also apply the scattering to never overlap, and I can click on preview to see how it looks. Okay, now we said that we cover how color shuffle works, and it actually works a little bit differently than how mosaic works. So let's go back to our channel. Again, edit the settings and edit our template. And let's look at this yellow star over here. Now, this star has only one color, but is defined as a spot color. If I enable the shuffle spot colors here, I can see that I have one color, and I'll select it, but I can also replace it with a totally different set. I can select a set that is predefined, or I can create my own using the plus icon over here. Once I do that, it's very interesting because in Mosaic, it will always use the same color for different elements. But here I have only a single color, but once I do that, each of these elements gets a different color. So I don't need to create a seed file for each of these colors, I can simply create one and apply shuffle spot colors on them. Let's preview this. And you can see the different colors. One more thing I want to show you in HP Collage is this. Let's preview this job for a second. And this is using, this is for Halloween. So it kind of has all these scary elements over here, which are using a regular collage channel like I just showed you. And I can go to the second record and see the different variation. But once I click on this, the next record, something happens and the entire set of elements change. And this is one more thing that we have in HP Collage, which is called sets. Let's go to the channel and see how it is defined. Again, HP Collage, I go to the settings. I can see the template that I use to create this channel. I can edit it. And here you can see that I have set number. I have set number 1 out of 2. The first set is using these scary seed files. But if I go to the second set, it is using a totally different array of seed files. And again, to each of them, you can define different parameters. So you don't have a limitation on the amount of sets that you have in the job, and you don't have any limitation to the amount of seeds in every set. So you can apply variations, you can do anything that you want in just a single channel of HP Collage. That's it. I hope you like this video. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can email me at guy, G-U-Y, .bb, it's B-I-B-I, at hp.com. Again, it's GUY.BIBI at hp.com. Thank you very much.